So yeah, we can tweet and whatnot, and people will be able to see it.
You're getting to be a big boy.
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. So many things to do. Each day is something new. I'll share them with you. I'm Caillou. My world is turning, changing each day. With mommy and daddy, I'm finding my way. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. Caillou, Caillou. I'm Caillou. 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 Caillou.
You're getting to be a big boy.
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. So many things to do. Each day is something new. I'll share them with you. I'm Caillou. My world is turning, changing each day. With mommy and daddy, I'm finding my way. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. 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 I'm 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 Caillou. That's me. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. So many things to do. Each day is something new. I'll share them with you. I'm Caillou. My world is turning, changing each day. With mommy and daddy, I'm finding my way. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. 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 I'm 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 Caillou. Caillou.
You're getting to be a big boy.
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. So many things to do. Each day is something new. I'll share them with you. I'm Caillou. My world is turning, changing each day. With mommy and daddy, I'm finding my way. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. 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 I'm Caillou. Caillou. I'm Caillou. Caillou. I'm Caillou. Caillou. I'm Caillou.
All right, welcome everyone to today's episode of Market Capping. I'm just gonna roll our intro video and then we'll bring small cap up and we'll get started. So let's roll the thing.
GM Anon, welcome to today's episode of Market Capping. Before we begin, I just wanted to remind you that I'm not your mom, and nor are any of the speakers on this show. Nothing you hear today is financial advice. You should be a big kid now. Make your own decisions, do your own research, and assume every crypto coin you buy will result in complete losses. If you ever plan on holding anyone other than yourself responsible for your choices, please navigate to the top of your browser window where you'll find the friendly red close button. And now, let the episode begin.
Boom. All right. What's up, small cap? We're live. Let's do a little mic test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How's it going?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you too. It's going good. It's going good. I think we're good to do the thing. But yeah, it's been a while. Like what, 2 weeks? Sorry, I got COVID. Finally recovered from that. So just chugging water, taking vitamin D and vitamin C as much as possible. But back and at it. Missed the last 2 weeks of trades, but all good.
Yeah, glad to have you back.
Thank you,
Looks like
sir.
you changed the theme song without letting me know. But the beats must be going hard. So,
Did you
how's
watch
that?
Caillou when you were a kid?
Did I watch? No, no.
No,
I don't.
no. Oh my God. It was just this like childhood TV show. When I was like a little baby, I was obsessed with. A lot of kids were too. But one of my friends getting married, and we had to choose like a walk-in song, and everyone was choosing this like gangster like Kanye West, and I was like, bro, I wish I could just have like the Caillou theme song with a trap mix. So I just YouTubed like Caillou trap mix. And I was like, this is hilarious, and it was just sitting on my computer. So I was like, I'll just play this while we wait. I think everyone's sick of that Crypto Boy song, so there we go.
Yeah. Oh, it's fair.
But yeah.
I'll get to play with it in a bit when I edit. But glad to have you back.
Yeah, you can crop that out. We can start here. That's jokes. But yeah, why don't we get started with, for me, as always, I'm pretty shitty at this like macro stuff, and I know you're really like tuned into it, and it seems like that's like the leading thing on prices right now, so everyone's pretty curious about it. CPI comes out tomorrow. I think that's like what Consumer Purchase Index or something along those lines. Um, would love to just like hear from you on like your macro update, how you're thinking about things, and how this like CPI thing's supposed to affect rates.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I wouldn't even call myself a macro expert. So I don't think if like the people on the call are coming to me for macro, then I think they're making a mistake right there. But
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I try and keep up with it as much as possible. But like, I mean, I actually got invited to one of the unusual whales like Twitter Spaces and like hopped on, and it's all guys who've been doing Fed reporting for like 30, I don't know, like 30 years, and like are deep diving into like bonds and treasuries. And so like, I mean, I try and track it as much as I have time to, but like
Yeah.
it's not something I want to say that I have all the answers. With that said, like I do like have been operating under really a thesis that like crypto has really been front running a lot of risk assets, which I think I'm one of. I don't think everybody really has that same view. A lot of people think we're correlated and like directly correlated. I think we've front run a lot of it. I
Okay.
think a lot of the pain's still to come for stocks. I
Yeah.
think we're decently far along. I think we've had some of that, like, I don't know, forced selling and everything else that's gone wrong. I feel like a lot of that has really set us back. But when you look at the macro environment, it's still pretty awful. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think they've already started to leak like tomorrow's CPI is going to be awful. Like the inflation rates are going to be extremely high. So I think when they set the stage like that, it's normally good. And I think more often than not, it ends up being like kind of it'll as they announce it, it'll sell off pretty hard for like 20 minutes, and then normally buybacks start happening, and the market normally ends positive. I feel like when they do that,
Okay.
but like I'm expecting the data to be kind of shitty. So
Okay.
I
And
that's if you
shitty
want to
means what does shitty mean in this situation?
high inflation doesn't help crypto. I mean,
Okay.
more rate cuts or more rate increases will be coming.
Okay.
I mean, there's like you have inflation, you have CPI data, you have you think housing's like next week, but there's a lot of macro events happening week by week, and I don't think we've yet to get a positive one. But like, I mean, everybody has kind of been pushing all along for like, hey, we'll hopefully bounce in the fall, and we're getting decently close. Like we're not that far out to really the elections. So the way I look at it is if they want to maybe slow down some of what they're doing, or actually see some real changes by the time the elections get here, they probably have to make some moves in the next month or so. So
Okay.
I've started to take on a little bit more risk than I think most people have. I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I tweeted like, "Hey, I'm risk on." And I got berated on Twitter, but
That's good.
I think you like I feel that we can hedge a lot of our risk with DeFi yields. If you take some like I don't know positions that like yield actually helps you hedge by some of that downside. Like if you lose 5-10% of your actual like LP value, if you're earning yield against it, like I think you're really not down that bad. So I think we're closer to a bottom than we are the top by a landslide. So I'm a little bit more comfortable taking some risk, but
Okay.
that's kind of my view.
That's a good update. Okay. So listening in tomorrow, is it you don't have any like specific indicator we should watch for? Probably something for people to look up after.
No, I really
Okay.
don't. I mean, I think it's something that you should definitely be aware of that's coming. But like I think when they warn you ahead of time, it's normally very bad data. But I do think after that we have a good chance to bounce. So that's kind of
Awesome.
my take, at least.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, and the other thing we forgot to bring up is you're now rocking your Anata honorary.
Yeah,
So it's pretty sick. We got
yeah.
finally got a little small cap up here. Hopefully we can get you a profile picture and a sticker pack next. But love that you have one.
I yeah, me too. Got some open test tubes in the pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And
no, I
on
like
that
it.
we have Anita Breeding, which is launching. Well, it was supposed to launch yesterday, but our dev got COVID, so he's been slightly delayed. But it should be up either this week or early next week. And what's going to happen is any two Anitas can opt in to breed with each other. Each Anita is only fertile once, so you can only have one choice. But if you want, me and you can make a little baby. Wink, wink.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, or you can choose a holder without an honorary and make a baby with them. Maybe one of your fans really wants a little baby small cap chibi that they can be and dance and do hand tracking and all that kind of stuff with. But pretty exciting stuff. And I was gonna say for our next topic, while we're talking about like force selling and it being a bottom and whatnot, did you see that Celsius pulled all their ST out of Aave? Let me bring that up actually.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, I was tracking SCE very closely for a long time, but
yeah.
I've actually just backed off a little bit. I
Okay.
think everything calmed down, but no, I hadn't seen that. When did that actually happen?
Yeah, so I have the Etherscan transaction up here, but basically it was this morning. So this morning they pulled all their ST ETH out. So now I'm curious what they're going to do because that's like $400 million of ST ETH, and it seems like they're forced sellers. So hopefully they have it OTC'd. Light has this like Twitter thread here where he's kind of been tracking everything that's been going on. Um, but like on July 7th, they pulled a bunch of WBTC, and it basically like every time they pull, it kind of ends up like on exchanges right away, right? So here they pulled 2,000 WBTC, and then just after a few hops, it ends up in like Coinbase and Binance. But I think in this case, like with the ST it's going to be way too hard to sell. I think we talked about this historically. So ideally, they OTC it. I saw there was like one response from Larry, yeah, here, where he said, surely it's going to be OTC'd with someone who's long term oriented. So maybe this
Oh,
is
that's
what yeah, maybe this is what Almeida was referring to or what Binance was referring to with them buying out people, but I'm not sure.
I thought it was Celsius. I mean, I guess the chat can hold me accountable on this. So I thought it was Celsius that they didn't want to buy out because they had a like $2 billion hole in their balance sheet. They like looked at it and they just were missing $2 billion, which is
Oh yeah.
terrifying to think.
I
Was it
mean,
them? I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm not sure, but when I mean buyout, I mean like hopefully they buy out their ST directly so it
Yeah,
doesn't end up being sold on Curve, right? Um,
that's a massive position. 400
yeah,
million, like in
that's a
this
lot.
environment, is a lot. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't. There's not a whole lot of buyers like that I can think of that can step up and kind of swallow that.
yeah,
And like, I also think there's just not a huge appetite for anything that's e-liquid in this environment.
right.
Like, I mean, you look at like just the discounts of GBTC and like STE's lucky because of DeFi. I mean,
Yeah.
like honestly, it's still under peg. I don't know by
I
how much
think
on
yeah,
curve.
you get something like 3% right now if you convert one ETH to one ST ETH.
Yeah. So I mean, like, that says a lot. I think they've been incentivizing like crazy though.
Yes.
like crazy. Like Balancer they have, Curve they have, like any market that they can
Yeah,
incentivize
4%.
liquidity for SDE, they've been doing it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But I mean, 400 million is a lot to offload, and like even if you split half OTC and half like market dumping and DeFi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see how that one goes though. I mean, I still think that's a pretty good opportunity for people who are looking to buy bags of ETH long term. If we get another big shakeout because of people selling STETH, that would be a great one to actually scoop some.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
another one I was looking at actually was Anchor. So there's like people are looking at these SDs discount and they're looking for like, oh, I can't wait to get like 10% or 15% on it. And right now they're getting 4%. And I think when we hit 9%, there was like basically infinite bid last time when everyone was like staring at that like Parsec page.
yeah.
But there's other staking derivatives that are also way off, like Anchor Anchor ETH. And it's not the Anchor from from Terra, different Anchor. But they have a SDETH like product, and it instead of rebasing to always be 1 for 1 or whatever, it accrues. So one Anchor ETH is supposed to be worth already like 1.07, so it's already like earned like 7% on top. But you can get, I think you get like a pretty big discount. Yeah, here on their staking page, you can see that if you buy it on Uniswap with ETH, you're already getting a 13% discount to its underlying ETH, or on SushiSwap, a 15% discount to its underlying ETH. So
Wow. I mean,
yeah,
that's huge.
they're like, and there's like decent liquidity. I got sent this from a guy in on Discord that's also pretty active in like the Temple trade and whatnot. This guy named Stinner. So shout out to him. But I didn't realize that other staking derivatives are even further off peg, and sometimes there's really good opportunities. So I think if you're looking at the SDETH trade, trying to be like, oh, how do I get more ETH for when the merge unlocks? SDETH might not actually be the best one, so it's worth looking into things like this. Like the Anchor staking one is off by like 15% or 12%. I think probably on average you could get 13% bonus at post merge when all this ETH unlocks. So that's interesting too.
Pretty that's a pretty good example though of like a perfect way where you can hedge with yield. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I want to say those some of those pulls like I want to say the balancer ones like 15-20% or something like that. On STE, I'm not sure what it is on Curve at the moment. It's been a little bit since I looked, but like either way, like if you do that and you buy up some STE with some of your ETH stack, LP it like be some of that liquidity, eventually that's gonna hit 1-to-1 peg as long as you believe the merge is gonna
Yeah.
go through.
It's literally
So like
redeemable. Yeah.
there's not really a bad reason to not do it. In the short term, you might have a little bit of IL, but if you're doing it for a long term position, like earn some yield on that, protect yourself from the downside of really if ETH, I don't know, takes another 25, 35% hit, like whatever it might be. I mean, it's scary to think about, but I think a lot of people are calling the 750 area. So
Yeah.
that's a good example though. If you can get something like that under peg and
Yeah.
then LP it, then like you're taking away a lot of the downside. And I don't think most people are going to catch bottoms like they think they
Yeah.
will. So
Do you ever do trades like, okay, what if I bought this Anchor ETH at like minus 15%, and then I also shorted ST ETH, and then I'm like, basically it's the same exposure, right? It's like delta neutral staked ETH exposure or something like that, and then I after it all reveals, I just collect the 15% spread, or once one repegs. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I usually don't take trades like that because there's stuff that's like way better that's off peg. But I don't know, something you think about.
I mean, like I want to say no. I know a lot of people do, and there's a lot of value in doing it. I've done a few delta neutrals, like did one with Ohm, that the calculator guy. Like shout out to him, but he's a beast on Twitter and YouTube. But he actually had a strategy put together, built out on a spreadsheet for like delta neutral, like yield with Ohm. I
Yeah,
did that one a while back, but most of the time, like I mean, I've been trading more big cap stuff like that you're able to do that with lately, just because of I want to say market conditions. But like bull run, I was probably not in stuff that was normally big enough to be doing like I don't
yeah,
know shorting and longing like I don't know and
yeah. It's
doing
a lot of
delta
work.
neutral positions with yeah. I
Totally.
mean, and a lot of the CXs, like I tried to catch launches. Like I played a lot more of the stuff that's brand new than I did. Um, I don't know. Then like I did like I don't know play curve convex and some of those larger ones. I was getting better gains playing small stuff. So
Yeah,
I haven't done a ton of that myself, but I know a lot of traders that are super profitable looking for that edge.
yeah, yeah. Nice. Um, Okay, on that topic of shorting something, usually you do that by borrowing on Aave, which is our next thing. So, did you look at the Aave stable?
I did. I did.
Nice.
I'm pretty
What did you
pumped
think?
for it. I think the name's kind of bad.
It is
I don't
very
know.
like, yeah, you have to understand Aave ecosystem, like Go, and then you have to go to Ghost, and then you have to realize, oh, that's like the whole Aave brand is a ghost.
I
But
know,
I
but
agree.
like, they should have made it like USA.
Yeah.
That would have been that would have just got all the I don't know all the U.S. people fired up, and people would use it just because I don't know nationalism or whatever. But they could
Oh
have
my
done like
God, yes.
capital U.S. and then a small A for Ave. Like I think like that would have
Oh,
been
that's
cool, or
great.
like a small yeah. Like they missed opportunities there. But like
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
mean I like the model though. I think there's a lot that they can do with it. Um, Hopefully it's a way to collect some of that value out of DeFi, like back to Aave holders. Um, I think everybody really likes the maker model, and I feel like they've kind of like just thrown a bunch of wrenches in being successful in the longer term. Like there's just been a ton of stuff that's gone wrong. And I think like if Aave does it right,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that they win a ton of market share by doing it. So we'll see. And I think everybody's kind of been waiting too. Like I've seen a few people with the opinion that like, hey, finally, like a well-established DeFi protocol is coming out with a stable.
Yeah.
It's not like some random, I don't know, Anon team that's like saying, hey, we're going to launch like an algo stable that nobody knows or something. Like Aave
Yeah.
is pretty respectable. And like other ones have built them from the ground up, like the Frax, the Dies, but it should be interesting to see them do it at kind of their scale. So
Yeah. So for
those are
people that didn't follow, basically how it works is I can take any sort of like approved collateral, I can put it up just like I would deposit into Aave and earn yields on it. And meanwhile, instead of like me saying I'm gonna go and borrow Frax or borrow USDC or choose whatever has like the lowest rates, I'm gonna instead mint a stable coin. And that's important because now Aave doesn't have to like kind of hope that people deposit enough for users to get liquidity. Like if there's not enough USDC deposits and people want to borrow USDC, then their borrow rates go higher. So then maybe there's less demand because borrow rates are higher. But what Aave can do now is they can just simply mint a stable, so they can choose how much they want to put out there. And then instead of having users earn that yield, they get to keep all the yield for the protocol itself. But the challenge then becomes building liquidity for this like Go stable. Has there been any details on how they're going to build that liquidity? Are they going to do some sort of like convex
I mean,
curve stuff or?
yeah. So like I was reading through the governance proposal for it, which also like is one of the most stacked protocol filled governance proposals I think I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like there's like every protocol is in there. Like, hey, this is like a sweet idea. We'd love to collaborate on this, which is just
Mm-hmm.
exciting as a whole. Like that everybody's immediately reaching out to partner. I
Yeah.
know Frax reached out with base pulls, but if I had to speculate, and I tweeted about this like when it first got launched, but I really feel like they're going to launch it on Balancer, just because they already have like their Aave boosted stable pools there. It's
Okay.
massive for Balancer. Like it's where a lot of Balancer's fees came from over the past like 5 months.
Yeah.
Um, they did, I want to say it was like 1.3 billion
Yeah.
of
Wow.
trades. That's not like revenue, but that's trades through that LP. But they've been building it up. They own about 300K Balancer already. I don't know if it's Balancer or VBAL, but they own a big stack of it. So it feels like I would assume that they're going to launch the initial liquidity there.
Oh,
But that
interesting.
should be I can imagine based off of some of the wording in like their governance and other places though, like they're gonna end up being on Curve and Convex as well. But I
Yeah.
would think like if I had to speculate, it'd probably get launched on Balancer to start. We'll see. I mean, I think they haven't announced anything official there though, so I
Yeah.
could very well be wrong.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm curious to see how they play the game because it can be interesting for all of our DeFi bags, right? Everyone loves these stable games. Yeah.
Yeah,
One thing I did
agreed.
want to bring up was I saw this like image here, and they said that it's like in the article they talk about how it's like going to be fully collateralized, and yeah, so it's decentralized, over collateralized, backed by multiple types of collateral, and governed by Aave community. So it's going to start off very safe, probably die in MakerLite. But when I look at this like image, there's a lot of like interesting stuff here. Like they have this section that says collateralized. So like they have the Aave minting method and then real world assets, which is kind of cool. So they're gonna let people like mint against RWAs. Um, and then there's also this like under collateralized section and it says like credit score. So maybe they want to start giving like DeFi users a credit score, which gets interesting. And then there's also this like algorithmic thing. So I don't know if this image is trying to just like spew what they could do, but it's giving me very like Frax like vibes on what they can do
Agreed.
with all like the underlying assets and things like that. So I'm interested to see the roadmap and what comes after just making another stable because for now I don't see how it's much better or any better than something like DAI. It just means more fragmentation in stables uh, and more wars for liquidity, which I guess should help BAL, Curve, and like those kind of products.
Yeah. I mean, so I think couple comments on that is like it reminds me a lot of like I think it was May maybe like 3 4 months ago that like Vitalik actually did like a write up on like soulbound tokens. I don't know if you've done any research there, but it's pretty cool, and that's kind of where I think he sees a lot of the market going, where it's like based off of like I don't know, say you're 3AC and you take a loan out against somebody, they can like make comments based off of your main wallets of like, hey, like this loan's out or you have this type of credit and like so people can't reuse collateral. Like it kind of gives you a credit score based off of other people in the market.
Hmm.
And I think going down that route could be really what Aave is looking to do, which I think would be awesome. And also like they kind of give higher scores to people who aren't necessarily anon. So like if they kind of weight it, so if you're going to vote in governance, like you can't just have 5 different anon wallets, or your votes get like weighted a little bit less than maybe somebody who is known in the community and like is I guess well known. So a little bit different, but like I think if you haven't looked at the soulbound stuff that Vitalik was like did a write up on, you should.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff.
Okay, I'll check that out.
But I'll send it to you. But it should be cool. And I would say the other thing is I don't know what their timeline is for getting getting the stable released, but that's another way that you could really give Celsius exit liquidity if they just
Right.
deposit everything in all their ST ETH into Aave and then take out the stable. I once again they're gonna have trouble with liquidity for GHO or
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
I feel like
USA.
it's
It's gonna be
yeah.
USA to me.
I feel like it's going to be a lot longer than people think. But I haven't really looked into it on what timelines are like. But I feel like whenever these big DeFi projects announce things, it's still like 6 months away. Like, remember when Compound announced Compound Chain? Did that ever even ship or was that canceled? I have no idea. Or even Compound's been like alluding to a stable, or even Curve. We're supposed to be getting like Curve USD at some point. But none of this stuff has really come out. I think it takes a little longer than expected, especially given like audit cycles and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like CRV USD has been in audits for months, so
Soon,
like
soon.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But I
Next,
agree.
yeah. Next thing I wanted to ask you actually was, where are you farming? Like, how are you getting good stable yields right now? Are you farming at all with stables, or are you mostly just like buying risk stuff and getting yields on that?
A little bit of both, honestly. I've been crushing the balancer ecosystem lately. I think I've been tweeting
Nice.
about it a ton
Yeah.
too. Like I think there's a lot of upside to be had there. So I've been doing a lot of like on and off risk like over in that ecosystem. And really like nothing against like Curve there or Convex either. I
Yeah.
think I just felt like there was a little bit more the risk with a lot of the actual unlocks and everything that ended up being super bullish, but I also just think like that trades one that's already very matured. Like there's a lot of very big people already in that trade. So trying to find ones that are, I would say, geared up for like a big run next run. I feel
Okay.
like that doesn't mean Curve and Convex can't do like huge X's, but I think like I try to focus on the next
Nice.
narrative that's
Nice.
coming. But
Yeah.
how about you? Where are you farming with stables or where are you
Yeah, so
farming?
the way my profile portfolio is set up is like I have a bunch of stuff that I do for like RFE stuff. Then I have like a small portfolio for like risk on where I just buy a bunch of like ETH or maybe some like shit coins and things like that. And then I have like a separate stack where I'm just like this is supposed to be like my stable profits and then I try to earn as much yield as I can on those. and 99% of the time I'm trying to just do it in convex curve because I've found historically that's the place where I can just set it and forget it. And if I like come back in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, it'll all be safe and it'll be there, and I have the most ability to sleep. My mom also gave me money to put into that pile, so I'm always looking for like good stable farms that are healthy. So I'm mostly focused on convex, but like what I noticed over the last 2 weeks is that we had this whole like stablecoin fears and like convex and curve sold off so hard and yields across the board became like dog shit. Like I remember like the Frax pool was getting like 2% or something like that. But when I look at it now, it's actually much better here. I just brought it up so to show people, but the like yields and convex are looking like much better than when I remember. I don't know if it's just like an anecdotal thing or a real thing, but um, like I noticed like Dala has like 35%. Um, I wouldn't enter this pool unless you like deeply understand what's going on, so I can walk you through that. Um, and then PUSD is still killing it. I think
Yeah.
you talked about it last time. That was the JPEG stable. I've been really wanting to get this stable, but it's really hard. Like in Curve, if I try to get PUSD, it's still costing me like 1.03, and I think that's supposed to be by nature. But I wonder if that experiment's really working. Like, are people depositing to mint it to Arbit, and is like 3% enough for that? I really wish there was like
Well,
a way for me to get it more affordably. Sorry, what was I?
no, no, like I think that's a great like um I think the PUSD one's super interesting because like
Yeah, it's
it's built into like
1.03. It sucks. I
yeah,
hate it. I really want this stable, but I can't get it. Like if I buy
I was in like
100K of it, yeah,
I got in that's about what I was probably maybe two X that, but um I I got in early and I knew it was going to move that direction, but like also like it's super interesting with PUSD, and something that you should be aware of farming that pool is like it's very plugged into like the DopeX interest rate vaults. Like
mm.
there's currently like $50 million worth of bets on the direction of the interest rate for that pool.
Oh
So
wow,
there's gonna be like some whale games going on there. I
yeah,
would expect like you can kind of get an idea of which direction they're going to go if you do a deep enough dive and say like, all right, where are the biggest bets based off of these like month long rates that people were making bets on.
yeah,
So like I would 100% look at like the DopeX like interest rates for that too.
yeah,
But if there is a point where you get a really good rate in that PUSD pool, like
yeah.
it might be worth it to take the like 3% a lot. But if you can
Three's a
get it
lot.
at one like 1% or something like that, then it might almost be worth it just because you can like then go on DopeX and hedge and like lock in the whatever interest rate that you're actually at.
Yeah,
So I mean, it is a
that's a cool
very
idea.
I mean, it's really Tetranol, and he's so strategic when it comes to this stuff. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's what I wanted.
y-
Like, I feel really safe. I think actually a lot of people were telling me that they feel unsafe in it because it's backed by JPEGs, like it's backed by punks. So what happens if punks go down? But I think people don't realize that JPEGs themselves raised like $40 million or something like that during the bull run.
oh yeah,
So their treasury is like very healthy. So I would imagine that PUSD holders would get paid out first if there was any like collateralization or bad debt issues. So I think you can, instead of thinking like, oh, this is all backed by punks, I think it'd be okay. Like I would go confirm this in the Discord and ask them first. But I think it'd be okay to be like, even if there did end up some bad debt because you couldn't liquidate the punks, the treasury would cover the excess because the treasury is so well bootstrapped. So I'm not so worried about like peg issues apart or like collateral issues. I'm more worried about like I'm gonna pay 1.03 and then I'll only get a dollar for it later, and it takes me a while to get
yeah,
3% in convex curve.
yeah. I mean, that's a good point. And last I looked, like the treasury was like 130% or something like that
Yeah,
of like the
of the
value it
market
needed
cap.
to
Yeah.
cover. And it's because they do liquidate some of those JPEGs. Like
Hmm.
it's not just they're backed by it. Like I mean, they're taking risk by putting their JPEGs on the line to mint PUSD.
Yes.
So I mean, when we got those big crashes in like ETH and like they did liquidate a bunch of NFTs, and like they do auctions. Like if you're ever trying to get a cheap NFT, like and I haven't kept up with them super heavily, but like it's a place to look.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think
Totally agree.
because of that reason, though, like the treasury is massive. So
Yeah.
I felt super comfy in that poll. But
Yeah.
like it
I,
is
I would be
something
too. I wish I was in it.
I
That's all I'm saying.
yeah I had to keep up with it. Like I did put some work and hours into like keeping up with like the changes in A factor and like
Right.
I like all the stuff that was being tweeted at the time, but like I don't it's kind of calmed down. And
Hmm.
it's been a lot more chill, I'm gonna say, over the past like 3 weeks or so. But
What do you think about the meme pool?
I haven't to be honest, I don't know what the reason for this is, but I've never been a huge abracadabra like meme spell
Yeah.
like guy. I don't know. Like it's like I've never really held many
Yeah.
almost anything within the project. I look at it all the time and like keep up, but like I struggle to like form big, I guess, convictions either way there. So I don't
Yeah.
have much for you.
Yeah.
Why are
So
you in there?
I put a little bit in here, and I started looking into it a little bit more because I started to get a bit worried just because the pool is like it's not so imbalanced. Like it actually is pretty imbalanced. There's 90 million MIM and 15 mil three curve, but their A factor is so high that I think it's kind of okay. It still stays like semi on peg. Like you could swap like $1 million in here, and I think you lose less than 1%. So it's totally fine. But I was worried about the abracadabra bad debt, and I noticed they had this article addressing it, and it's actually like not nearly as bad as I thought it was. Like they said that there was about 12 mil of bad debt from the UST cauldrons, um, but if you look at they put up this dashboard that lets you see all the debt within MIM, and it actually seems pretty healthy. Like there's $400 million of collateral in there, and then the total amount of MIM borrowed is 200 million. So in total, it's still, or sorry, 201 million. So you have 201 million MIM borrowed against $500 million of collateral. So overall, it seems pretty healthy to me. But I haven't gone deeper, so I do want to enter that pool. The collateral issues aren't what's worrying me. What's worrying me now, I was talking about to some folks in a Discord about this, is are they going to be able to keep those yields up? So right now,
Yeah.
there's a lot of liquidity in here because the yields and convex are good, right? Like 17% on something that's like 2x over collateralized. That's probably like one of the best pools in here in that case, right? Because Dollar is like it's backed by 70 cents because of the big hack. PUSD you have to pay an extra 3% for. So MIM is one that like really draws me. But I think these yields might drop soon because right now what Danny did was he had Wonderland buy a ton of convex and vote for the MIM pool, and then that's how they would get a bunch of yields. But now Wonderland recently did this vote where they're like, "Yo, Danny, stop using us. Instead, just focus on doing venture investments." And since that vote happened, Danny's kind of like vanished from Wonderland Court. So I think they're going to stop voting for this pool, and then it's going to be on Abra to keep these yields high. And they have a lot of curve. I think like in this article it says that their treasury has here 10 million curve tokens. So I'm curious if they're going to lock these curve tokens and then use them to vote for their pool or what. But if the yields in that pool drop, that's the part that stresses me out. But the collateral issues I'm not so stressed about.
Yeah. And yeah, that's very fair. And Dala is the one that they're it's the concave one, right? Like you
Yeah.
said that it's mainly concave. Like what's like
Yes.
the backstory there? So like I haven't tracked that at all, but like
Okay.
you were saying like that they did a pretty good job of like like saving their ass, I want to say.
Yeah.
But like I don't know the backstory.
So I wrote a thread here. Oh wait, actually first check out my new PFP. Shout out Anata team. They're drawing people PFPs if you join the Discord and be active, and they're like super sick. So if you have one, make sure you join the Discord and come ask
Mm,
for PFP. That includes you, sir. But
will
yeah,
do.
on the dollar front. So what happened is Dala is a stablecoin from Inverse, right? And they got hacked, and I think at the time it was something like 40% of their reserves. So today, don't hold me to this, but I think something like 30% of their of Dala is backed by nothing. So for every $1, there's only 70 cents of collateral in the system right now. So you need people to like kind of buy Dala to pay off their to get their assets back, but a lot of those assets aren't in there, period, because they were stolen, right? Um, but it's crazy because when this happens to any other stable, the stable would like very quickly go to zero because it'd be a race to pull all the liquidity out of Curve. But they manage to have people keep their liquidity in curve and they don't have a wild A factor. So if you look at the dollar pool, it has like almost equal amounts of three curve and dollar. It's like 19 million and 17 million, which like blows my mind because that's like all this liquidity is saying $1 is worth one three curve when in reality they only have 70 cents per. And all this liquidity is totally cool with it and everyone is totally aligned for that. So I was like, how on earth did they do this? So I talked to the team and I wrote a little thread here, but basically, one major piece was Concave. So Concave has $11 million of that pool as dollar three curve, and they stayed in there and they stayed strong. I think they have a good relationship with the inverse guys. So that was a big piece. Like a third of the liquidity didn't run away. Part of these bank runs is both people are swapping for stables and liquidity providers are pulling their LP. But in this case, LPs stayed, so people could swap for the other stable, and it stayed fine. And then they did a bunch of cool stuff where they aggressively bribed with inv. So usually it's like, okay, inverse will be the backstop. Let's mint a bunch of inv, but then inv nukes, and then you don't have enough. But
Yeah.
here, what they did instead was they slow minted inv and used it to bribe. And by bribing, they were able to create really high convex yields for people that added liquidity. And then they also built this really strong relationship with Yearn, where they said, okay, Yearn, use all of your curve convex voting power to vote for our pool, and we'll mint you a bunch of dollar to just put in the pool and farm with. So now Yearn gets better yields than if they had got collected bribes, and the dollar pool gets more yields added to it. So it's kind of like win-win. It's
Or
a really unique relationship. Yeah. So there's a thread down here on how they did that. So combining those two things and having concave, and now what they're doing is they're doing Olympus bonds for INV, which bring in 150K a month to help back the bad debt. They end up staying stable and they end up with a pretty healthy pool. So for me, it's like I'm using my mom's money to farm for her, so I don't want to hold that
uh,
risk because I just want to make sure she doesn't get wrecked. But I think if you're like slightly degen, it could be an okay pool, but you really have to monitor it. And if like Concave pulled their liquidity, you probably want to like swap that shit ASAP. But right now, Concave seems to be holding strong. Yields seem to be good. The team's really done, I would say, like a great job in figuring out how to keep letting people get a dollar, even though there isn't a dollar to back each one. So props to them on that. But it is a more degenerate pool in my mind if you're going to be stable farming. So yeah, I guess that
where do
was,
you have mom?
yeah,
I was gonna say, where do you have Mama DCF? Like, I don't know if
she's
I
in
can
here.
handle getting dumped on by both of you, so I gotta
she's
stay out of that one.
She's in
And
Frax USDC. That's that
I,
for me. This is the safe pool. Frax USDC, ALUSD is also a very safe pool. But both of these
yeah,
are very well collateralized, very well backed. Frax USD we USDC we know they're going to be doing base pool, so we know they're going to move all their liquidity there, which is going to end up being like hundreds and hundreds of millions. So very safe pool, gets you 6%. ALUSD also fully backed by DAI, so very safe pool, gets you 7%. Um,
it's
yeah,
it kind of brings up like an interesting point. Like, I mean, I hadn't thought of this, but now that you look through that thread, like now that Frax like base pool is going live, I'm sure Sam might be able to like help bail out some of those
yes,
stables that end up screwed. Like they can use Frax share loans and like some pretty interesting stuff to maybe like help projects that are in that predicament. Like you're kind of just backs up against the wall when you're paired with three US or like
three
three
curve. Yeah.
yeah, three curve.
And he said he's going to pay yields to anyone that does it against base pool. So if you do your coin base pool, it
Yeah.
means a bunch of frax gets minted. All the frax that gets minted will earn yield with the underlying USDC, and then he will pay those yields to you. And then on top of that, if you do bribing and staking and gauges, it'll be even more yields. So this has started to roll out. It already has 200 million in it, but I think they're going to start to ramp it up, and it could get wild. So I'm excited to see this play out. Hopefully the Aave guys do like the Aave frax base pool instead of Aave their ghost thing three curve. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, Sam was all over it. He was one of the first people on that government's
Boom.
proposal.
Hey, if
I don't
any,
know if he sleeps or like there might be an army that just all works as
yeah,
Sam. I don't know. I honestly don't know how he does it, but he was I'd be shocked if they went a different direction though. I bet you they end up do pairing long term with
yeah.
baseball.
If anyone can deal make it, it's definitely Sam.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Do you want to talk about NFTs? I think you said you had some cool NFT stuff to bring up.
Cool NFT stuff. I'm not Mr. Cool NFTs. I normally buy the top with NFTs, if I'm being honest. But like, I was curious, like, are you buying anything? Like, have you looked at
Hmm.
NFTs at all, or is there any that you like have your eye on? Um, like, what's your impression of NFTs here?
Um, well, obviously Anata.
Hmm.
So I think I really like what we have coming. So we made the first NFT you can be 2,000 unique, basically one of ones. But now we have breeding around the corner, which launches either this week or next week, and people will be able to breed and make little chibis, which will give them another NFT, which is a lot of fun. So that one, and then I didn't buy into free mint Bonanza because I felt like I really wanted NFTs with transparent treasuries so I could be sure that the money was for the project and going to be spent on the project. Because a lot of the time, these projects mint and then the artists keep all of the money for themselves. Obviously, a piece of it should be for the artists for the work and what they've created and whatnot. But some of it needs to like stay with the community for them to continue to build out the project. And I never really know like how much money is there really to fund this thing so it has like a life and a future and whatnot. Um, so I try to look for projects with like good transparent treasuries, and there's not really a lot of them. And then these free mints, I think like they're cool and they have like a natural community. But if there's no volume, then the project doesn't have money to keep going, which makes things really hard. So you have to choose the free mints with like high consistent volume. And it's been hard to pick that. So with NFTs, what I've been doing is I mostly just mint stuff I like. Um, and then if what I've been going deeper on is like parallel, but I already feel like my bags are so packed there that I haven't been buying more.
You still feel good about those? I mean, we talked about it briefly on some other ones, but like,
Yeah,
are you still like if you weren't packed already, like do you
yeah.
think like this is a good spot to buy? I don't know.
Well, they
Like,
just did prime staking. So if you buy any parallel parasets or prime keys or whatnot, there is an advantage to buying now versus buying later because now finally you can stake them and earn the token. But the token is non-transferable until early January next year or January next year, which is when the game is supposed to come out. Um, so it's really hard to say, but I staked all my shit. I'm farming prime. If you are into parallel, what I would do is instead of buying, if you're just here for like not to get assets to play the game, but just to like long the ecosystem, then I would look at Paragon's DAO because they have like I think the market cap is like $6 million, but they should be getting about 1 million prime total, and then they have like 5 million in the treasury. So if you combine those things and you assume prime is like the price of the last raise, then it's something like two or well, it's like at one third of backing or half of backing or something like that. But if prime trades like way lower than the last raise, then of course not. But that's
yeah,
how I think about that ecosystem. Um, but the big thing for me in NFT land has probably been SudoSwap launch. Did you look at that?
no, I haven't at all. Not even a little bit. So
Not even a little. Okay, let me give
no,
you a little of the little spiel
yeah,
there then. But so do,
enlighten me.
do you know how SudoSwap works?
Um, High level. But I honestly can't tell you a whole lot.
Yeah,
Um,
so do you remember Xmon? Like so State,
hmm.
who's very famous on Twitter. So State Layer, I really like him. Mooney is also an advisor, the couch that everyone knows, and Xmon is the dev, the founder, and then core team is Xmon, Zephram, um, Hamachi, and I think a few other folks. So really cool project just from like people I really trust and I like it because it's one of the first things I've seen in NFT space that is unique. So what they did was they finally made an AMM that can have custom curves. So what I can do is I can create
Mm.
pools of my NFTs. So all you do is you go to the little Your Pools tab and maybe I need to connect my wallet. What I can do is I can make a NFT pool. Oh, come on, guy.
Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
cross link
here we
almost
go.
bonding, so price curves. Yeah,
Yeah, this is
that's
what I'm
pretty
looking
cool.
for. Yeah, so the idea here is I can buy NFTs, I can sell my NFTs, or I can earn fees. So if I earn fees, then I'm providing liquidity. So I can put up like ETH and Anitas, And as people swap between ETH and Anatas, I earn like some sort of trading fees. That's very similar to NFTX. But what I think is cool is these single-sided pools. So let's say I want to buy a bunch of Anatas, then what I can do is I can put in 10 ETH and I can say I want to pay like so I can put in ETH and I want to get Anata NFTs. Then I can say like I want to start at 1 ETH, and for every one I buy, I want to decrease my price by zero point 0.1, right? And then I could
Mm.
say how many I want to buy. So I want to buy like let's say like 10. Then it creates me this custom pool here. And anyone can come sell into my pool, but they can't buy back out of it. So someone can give me an Anita for 1 ETH, and then I will have one Anita and zero point 0.9 ETH. Then someone can't come along and take my Anita from me. They can only sell me another one at zero point 0.9. And then they
It's
get
almost like limit orders, yeah?
Exactly, and it slowly
Yeah.
moves down automatically. So now you have a way to automatically DCA in and out of NFTs without losing the other half of your NFT, which would be more like an LP pool. So this is the first ever
Cool.
way to DCA on NFTs. So I think they'll get a lot of like people that are trying to buy and sell. Like if I let's say I sweep the floor of like 100 Freemans, and now I'm like I want to just slowly sell these from this price to this price, but I don't want to sit there like listing everything. I can just sweep the floor, make my curve, walk away, and come back. And as long as the number goes up, I've slowly sold my way out. And no one could come back and like put in the other side of the LP and take my shit back. I actually get to keep the gains, which is great. Um, and then the other cool thing is they made a UI for it, which isn't like really confusing, but it just looks like a regular marketplace. So if I'm shopping, I can buy from liquidity providers just like I do on OpenSea. So I can go to this like Forgotten Runes Warriors Guild, and I can like you can see all of them are priced the same, but as I add, the price moves up. So I can just choose the ones I want specifically, and I can check out just like how I do on OpenSea. So I think like the combination of marketplace like UI with this unique like pool tool makes it a very attractive product. I think the next piece now is just like marketing and working with NFT projects to get people using it and trying it. But pretty exciting project. I'm glad to see it's live.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's sweet. I didn't know about that. That should help build floors and like just base prices too, as people like it makes
Yeah,
it a way more liquid market. So I mean, it's good. And honestly, I'm glad you're highlighting the OG wizards.
there we
I own a
go.
bunch of them too, so I'll have to play with them. But uh, so I think I saw you tweet on the other wizards, the new ones that like somebody got just I don't know. I guess they can burn them right out of your wallets.
Oh my God, yeah, that was freaking hilarious. Um, did you see that? There was like, so there's this new, was this a Freemint, this Wizards thing?
I don't know.
I don't know
I
if it was a
kept seeing
Freemint
them.
or
Is this
not.
like wizards?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
XT
DCF,
XYZ. I don't even
yeah,
know.
yeah, DCF Intern sent it to me this morning, but it just made me laugh because what they did was they said anyone who has their NFT listed, they're gonna randomly burn your NFTs if they're listed. So, like if you look here, there's like there's a Parsec dashboard of wizards burnt, but recently someone listed like 35 of them, and then the protocol just said no, stop listing, and they just deleted their NFTs. And and then it kept happening. Like here, there's another guy that had like 50 listed, and the protocol just said, no, you can't list these, and just like burnt them. So they're like, instead of having the floor go up by buyers showing up, they just randomly start deleting floor NFTs that are listed, which is absolutely hilarious and like pretty savage. Can you imagine if you just listed something on floor because you wanted to sell it and then it got deleted? It's almost like kind of like theft in a way, but it makes the floor go up. And I think it
Yeah.
kind of worked. Like supposedly they went up 2x, but now I don't know how you sell them. I haven't really looked into it, but when I saw this, I just laughed.
Uh,
So that'd be fun to talk about.
yeah, no, that's fair. I no, I haven't done much research there, but I guess there's like some magic jokes in there somewhere. Like what happened to my NFT?
Yeah,
Just like
literally.
poof, gone. Yeah,
Do you
I
want
would
to?
be so pissed if I had 30 of them though. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, or 50. The guy
drive me
had
nuts.
50 deleted. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
unreal.
do you want to tell us about Aura? I know you've been going really deep on that.
Yeah, no, I'm mad at you that you didn't join. Gave you like playbook a few weeks ago, but like I've spent a ton of time working like specifically on Aura, and think Balancer as a whole. So happy to cover some of that. I mean,
Yeah, let's do it.
I think like Aura,
You want me to bring up your browser?
yeah, I have like a bunch of windows up now because I was going through stuff as you were talking, but give me 1 second if I'm still sharing. I think I am.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me know if
I
you,
got you. I
yeah,
can
yeah, I
see.
got you. Cool. So I think like Aura launched what we're like probably 3 weeks in at this point, something like that.
Hmm.
I think like it's been a very wild ride of an actual launch. I think partially because they launched during like the one of the worst weeks of the bear market for ETH. It went from like 1,800 to 1,000 that same week that they did really their like TGE and private sale. But they ended up raising like $1 million. But that $1 million, like if you think of having a pretty decent sized dev team, they have a ton of people on the multi sig.
Yeah, it feels
Like
small
that's not
actually.
a, it's super
And given
small.
the team, I
And
bet if Mackie went out and raised for like a convex for Bal, he could probably raise way more than that.
oh, like a double digit multiples of that
Yeah.
easily. I was in Mackey's DMs in April. I have a DM like, hey, like super excited for Aura. Like, hey, are you doing a raise? And he was like, nope, community raise. I'm like,
Wow.
even better. But like at the same time, I even missed the like original launch because I was too busy paying attention to the market. Like
Yeah,
just like
the timing was so
so
bad.
so I was like waiting for it for months and like I even missed it. So if that says anything, and I do this stuff pretty often, but so like because of that, they ended up like not having a ton of funds, but like it launched at a super low price. They had to use a lot of those funds for liquidity for really their actual for their bug bounties. So like with that, they don't have a ton of funds like set aside, but like it's gone on this massive run. Like they did an airdrop to a lot of different like DeFi communities. If you want a lobster DAO NFT, you got the airdrop. If you have vote locked CVX, you got the airdrop. I mean that airdrop actually disappears in like 2 days. So if you guys haven't checked and you
It's
own
gone.
either of those, what do you mean?
Is it already
Yeah,
gone?
no,
Oh,
no,
2 days
July
from
July
now.
4th,
Oh, I
two
thought you
days from
meant two
now.
days
It's
when it
like
happened. Okay.
no, July 14th. Like you guys just like come up here and like connect your wallet and go to like claim. And you'll be able to check to see if you got the NFT. But like or not the NFT, the airdrop. But with that, like they airdropped all of these tokens to all of these different communities. But most of them haven't been claimed. I don't know if it's just because nobody's paying attention to the markets or like there hasn't been um
Oh, damn.
I don't know, like people just paying attention to Aura or like
Yeah.
there's
Well,
only
I can
about
tell
40% of the tokens claimed.
yeah, I think you get a claim if you did the butterfly bond, right?
That as
Their
well,
launch.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't claimed mine from that, so this is a good reminder.
Well, there you go. I mean, so if you take a look even at just like one of these dashboards that I had, like like how they did it was you can either lock your tokens, or you take a 30% penalty and claim them unlocked. So like there's still 1.5 million tokens unclaimed, and that at this price, I don't know what the price is right now. It's like 250 somewhere in there, but that's $3 to $5 million. So, but because of the way they set it up, like everybody locked their tokens, and there isn't a whole lot of circulating supply out there to like build liquidity. But like because of that, price is sent. All of these DAOs are trying to accumulate,
Okay,
and
so
whales.
wait, walk me through why does the number go up? Is it like a convex like thing where it's like one convex controls more curve? Like is it similar for BAL or like why is the number going up?
Yeah, no, it's I would almost say the exact same as convex with a few minor tweaks. So when you look at we'll just cover the differences, assuming that most people know convex.
Yeah.
But really, like I would say the two big differences are convex, like it aggregates curve. Curve has a much higher FDV than balancer. I think it's multiple billion still.
Yeah.
Where like balancers, I'm going to say its market cap's like 170 million and FDV is like 280. So a lot of the distribution emissions have already happened, but also when you lock for VE balancer, you do it as an LP. So it's done as an 80% balancer, 20% ETH LP. So like they're actually putting some of those like long lock tokens to work by making a very deep liquidity pool, which is extremely nice. So like I really like that part of it. That's one of the things that they do differently. So like Aura actually accumulates that VE BAL. So
Hmm.
like you can't think of one balancer equals one VE BAL because it's actually really an LP token. But that's one of the main differences. And really, the second one is there's a pretty important proposal that just passed. Was that's for core polls. So you were actually talking about it earlier. So like, probably one of the bigger issues with a lot of like I want to say balancer curve, like a lot of these big dexes that allow for bribes, like is that they get a lot of leech projects that come in, they bribe, and then they just dump the reward tokens. Like it's an issue. Like I mean, when you look at what was the one you were just talking about earlier on this call? You're like,
Inverse?
Mim. I think it was Mim, right?
Oh yeah.
That yeah. So like it's super similar. Of like it can be a big issue, and I think even looking through here, like the problem with Aura and Balancer, like I would say their issue is like with Cream. Cream owns a decent amount of VE BAL, and it's not
Okay.
like there's not people aren't trading in and out of Cream. Like they're like pretty much exit liquidity. Like in my opinion, like Cream's been like dead, super bad debt. So it's like, all right, well they have a gauge like how to like there's 3.16 million farming. They're probably dumping most of those rewards, but
Okay.
they made a core pools proposal, which is like, hey, we're only going to take the most profitable assets um, that are profitable LP pools, and those are going to be set aside as like our factory. So like things like STETH is a perfect example. Like there's a lot of trading that's done through it. It's super profitable for really, I want to say all parties. Like if you bribe it, it makes sense. Like it's not just going to be like it shouldn't just be openly dumped. And it's an asset that like if the DAO accumulates as well, like they'll get yield on it in the long term. So like they pick like a handful of polls. I could probably pull up the governance form. But there's like 4 to 6 LPs right now that are going to be those core polls, which what they're doing differently is all of the fees that they earn from those polls, they're just going to dump them immediately right back into bribes. So
Okay.
like, does that make sense? Like, so
Okay, so
like,
wait, just rewind. So Aura is
yep,
basically convex. What happens is
yep,
people give Aura their balancer and they get and Aura locks it as VE Bal. Then
yep,
what happens is projects will make gauges on balancer which has nothing to do with Aura, and those gauges will emit Bal, right? But users can come stake those BBT gauge tokens on Aura, and Aura will boost it with their VE BAL. So you get better
correct.
yields than if you were to stake your gauge tokens in Balancer without holding VE BAL. So it's like shared VE BAL through Aura, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so same as
100%.
same exact same as convex. And now we're saying
Yes.
that people will now bribe Aura holders to use the underlying VE val to vote for their pools to get yields.
Correct. So
Okay.
they're gonna select core pools. So like these are examples like WST, like WETH, like and these pools all have yielding tokens that are like very high earning, very like heavily traded through, and
Yep.
they're some of the largest earners
And they want to
for
focus the
Balancer.
liquidity there instead of focusing the
Exactly.
liquidity on whoever is willing to pay. So it's right
Oh
now
yeah,
it's
yeah. Cream,
permissionless.
Badger,
Right,
like
right.
whoever. Yes.
So it's permissionless to make a gauge on balancer right now. Like you don't need to have a vote or something like that. On curve, I think you have to have a vote, right?
You can do it. Yeah, you can also make a gauge on Aura, like right here. Like you're
Oh,
probably a little bit
okay.
delayed, but you can just go add the gauge address here and like make your own gauge. But you should have like over 100K TVL. But like
I
all of,
see.
you can go in and make it.
Yeah.
That's
This
not really the issue. But well, it's what's different about it though is these pools are what actually earn the down money. So like all of the trading fees that come from this, like 25% of those trading fees go to Balancer DAO, and this other 75%, instead of just divvying them up as they are and giving them to VE BAL holders,
mhm.
they actually turn them into stables and bribe directly in hidden hand. So they send all
Oh,
of
right.
those.
Okay, and
So
the
like
fees are paid in like ETH, USDC, WBTC or whatever.
yeah, correct. Ooh, this is the wrong one. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
but like what's different about that is if you think of convex like CVX CRV, all of the fees from like the like actual VECRV go to that like CVX CRV staking. In this case, like because they're going directly to hidden hand as bribes, all of those fees end up with VL Aura stakers or lockers. Does that make sense?
Right. So all those fees go through Hidden Hand. They end up being
Yeah.
bribes to Aura holders. So Aura holders end up collecting all those for themselves. So when I hold an Aura token, I'm getting a bunch of fees from the trading pools on various balancer pools that are going to bribes, and I'm
Yeah.
getting any additional bribes, and I'm getting revenue from the underlying VE BAL, or that just goes to the Aura BAL holders.
So the from the underlying VE BAL, you
Hmm.
mean like for like Aura BAL?
Yeah, Aura BAL.
Um, Aura BAL's earning off like the LPs that are on here, and some of like currently the VE BAL fees, but that'll change when like this core proposal goes live.
Okay.
So like there, it'll mainly be held up, in my opinion, by like very heavy like LP rewards. If
Okay.
like if I had to say like
So
the direction I think they're going.
if I buy one Aura token, I'm buying it
Mhm.
mainly for bribes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
And
1000%.
what does the bribe yield look like right now on one Aura token?
I actually haven't run it since it just ended, but
Ah, okay.
it was like pretty good. Like they just, I mean, this is what the second week of bribes, and there was like 60 something K of bribes that just came across, and that's like core pools hasn't started yet. So like what we just discussed of sweeping all of those fees into bribes, so like
Yeah.
they're going to be much higher. Well, and like here's the kicker too. So like they're not going to say like no, like, Cream or Badger or like Redacted or honestly whoever like can't bribe their own gauges. It's just if you want revenue, you have to vote for those core polls that are earning the most. So like me as like hey, I have no like I don't know like I don't benefit from like Cream getting any balancer. I
Yeah.
vote for like the core polls and like all the like big holders of like Cream, I don't know, like you can say Cream, Badger, some of those, they're going to vote for their own polls, but then they don't get any of the protocol fees that go through those main LPs. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I'm
like
kind of following.
it should be pretty fat bot bribes. It is the way I'm seeing it for people
Okay.
voting on the core polls.
Yeah. I'm curious what it is because that would make sense. Like Aura goes up because it gets bribed well, and bribe yields for an Aura token are better than the bribe yields for a convex token. So I should probably buy an Aura token instead of a convex token. Is that how people are thinking about it, or do you think it's mostly just apes being like new project?
No, I mean like right now, like I think it's like last I looked, it was like every aura is backed by like zero point 0.4 VE BAL, which is actually was like about double its value. It's probably come down a little bit since. So like it's the same way that I look at how you like value convex is like how much actual like VCRV do you control? Like
Yeah.
what's that look
Yeah.
like from a liquidity standpoint? So I mean you can do some of that math on the back end and it's been undervalued. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of convex apes were catching on and just like aping in. And it was on low liquidity. But like I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing that drove the run up. But I mean, if you look at some of these months, like I'm not saying every month's going to be April, but even the average over some of these, like if you're earning about $1 million a month in protocol fees, and then like I don't know, 25% of that goes to balancer, that's 750K that goes to like directly to bribes for the most part. And over 25% of that goes directly to like VL Aura holders. And that's just off of protocol fees. That's not other people coming in and bribing. Like there's going to be pretty fat returns on a lot of the actual bribing systems from that. Like I
Yeah.
really like it off of just like I think they built it really well to make sure that everybody who is using the protocol and getting rewards is giving something back to the protocol. So like
Yeah.
you either are buying VE BAL and not getting like revenue and you're taking your BAL rewards. So like your contribution was purchasing that VE BAL or farming it, or like you have a pool that's very heavily traded and you're earning a bunch of fees for the DAO. Like they have it set up in a way that like everybody who is involved and going to be earning is also providing something back to them, like
Okay.
as a DAO. So like I really like it, honestly. That's how
Nice.
they have it set up as a system. But
Yeah. I need to go a
with
little
that said,
deeper, but we're gonna have
yeah,
Mackie on, right? I think Mackie said in early August, something like that. He's down to come on and he'll give us the creator stance on how this all works. So I'll definitely be prepping
100%.
before that call.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'd love to have him on him into like anyone else from the team would be interested. But we'll see. I actually do have a governance proposal going out for that one in the
Oh,
next
you
couple of
made a
days as well
governance
to look
proposal?
at.
What's it say?
Yeah, I
What's it about?
did. Well, I mean, so like part of it's just like they are like super low liquidity. They didn't raise a ton of funds. Like they have
Yeah.
all of this like extra supply from airdrops. Ohm's trying to accumulate, and personally, I've reached out to a few other DAOs and said like, hey, you should look at this as far as like building liquidity instead of using your own token currently.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, like, gonna propose doing a raise where like some of those extra tokens from the airdrop are actually used to like raise funds for the DAO, so they
Nice.
can like raise their bug bounty, like pay a lot of the devs that like actually need it, and then as well like I think it does benefit like honestly, holders have made out like bandits because like no DAOs or whales have been able to scale in. So
Yeah.
retail's crushed it. But like if you do a small raise like that, it gives all of the DAOs a fair opportunity to kind of bid and like
Get a
buy
bunch.
some aura from the market without having to suffer. Like right now, you want to buy 1% of circulation, it's like a 10% price impact. And then like, I don't
Mm.
know, it's like another 7% like slippage. It's like
Right.
tough.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
that'll be out like the next day or so. Any of your aura holders out there, look for it. Would appreciate any support and DM me if you have questions, I guess. But that's my that's my Dora or Aura one. I'm like looking forward to the next few days.
I
Rewards
love
go
it.
live from like our like voting
I love it.
on the 14th too. So should be volatile few days.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll personally be tracking like what the bribe yields look like, and I think I just want to do like a second look at what it means to own an Aura token. Like, do I stake it, and what do I get outside of bribes? But otherwise, it sounds like pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. Happy to run through it with you at any
Yeah.
point,
Let's
but
do it.
I'm still super bullish on that one, and I mean, I think more and more people are hopping on. So
Yeah. We're already 10 minutes over time, but is there any other alpha you wanted to touch on? Or anything else you want to touch on?
um, no, I think I'm pretty good. I guess I covered most of the stuff I wanted to cover. I mean, there's
Cool.
a few other ones that we'll get to, but we can always save some of those for next show.
Yeah.
Plutus, GMX, Ohm,
Yes.
like are a few, but like I think we can save those for another day. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would love for you to do a whole episode on Plutus and Jones and like DopeX ecosystem, just because I never really went into it. So I'd love to hear from you, like how it all works. And I know you just like killed it on Plutus, so deep dive there would be cool. And then the other thing, I think like even people were asking about GMX, like, and I also saw some FUD saying that GMX yields were kind of like fake yields. Like it says it's 30%, but actually a lot of it is paid out in like some other coin that's like vesting GMX, but you can't unstake your main GMX to get it. So it
True.
actually ends up being like 6% or something whack like that. But yeah, just some color around that. Maybe it'd be good for us to do another call on that. For me, other alpha, I think like some things I wanted to quickly touch on just to share with people is there's two layer ones that we were looking at. So one is called Sui and the other is called Aptos. But it's cool because both of them are the ex Facebook team that built DM, but Facebook shut that team down, and now it seems like the team is like spread out into all these little separate sub teams, and they're all raising at like billion-dollar caps to build layer ones. So I think there's going to be like a big layer one, not a big layer one, but like for the layer one rotators, that's this definitely two chains that I'm looking at that I think might be worth looking at too. I can just quickly share like two threads here.
Yeah, do
Um,
it.
but there is, oh, this is Noodles. I didn't mean to bring up Noodles. But yeah, so there's Sui. So look up this one. Look up Trace Crypto One. He has a little thread on it. But again, it's from the Meta team. Um, I don't know how these blockchains are trying to differentiate themselves, but like they're all like, oh, high throughput, low fee. What is it nowadays? And then they probably have some unique programming language to them too. But definitely take a look at that. And then there's another one, Aptos. Also take a look at. I think these guys just raised at like a $2 billion cap from some pretty big names. So two
Mm.
layer ones that might be worth taking just a quick gander at for when they launch because there might be a little fun rotation there, like finding the first AMM on that chain, finding the first lending market on that chain, finding the first NFT on that chain, and just playing that will be a lot of fun. I don't know how it's going to work out in a bear market. Like I saw Metis was down to like 30 mil TVL across the entire chain. It's like almost non-existent at this point. So I wonder how we're gonna keep introducing more and more and more layer ones because so many of them got funded recently, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, not even to put you on the spot with that one. I haven't heard of either of those, but
Yeah, I
any
hadn't either.
chance? I was just gonna say, any chance you read the white papers for them? Like,
I
where
have
they
not.
have white papers? Like my first thought is like, all right, they were building a stable coin for Facebook, and it got scrapped. Like, I mean, it screams like this, like, and then they go build a layer one. Like that just sounds like Luna. I mean, does
No, so Facebook
no,
was actually
yeah,
building. They weren't just building a stablecoin. They were building their own like entire layer one. So I think it's like supposed to be a whole blockchain. And there was some like unique
yeah,
tech there. I don't want to talk about it because I'm gonna fuck it up and I don't know enough. But I need to
yeah.
like my team and I we need to do some research there. But um, it seems like these are the two core projects out of that team that have now raised at billion-dollar caps. So there's going to be money that gets shoved into this ecosystem, and getting in the way of it can always be a good trade, right? Um, and then
Yeah.
the last piece of alpha I had was just Rome RFE. So while I was sick, I never really talked about it much, or we never did a market capping episode on it. But I know we talked about Rome at like $4 on here, and now it's RFEing at like 14. So anyone that listened got a really good trade there. I think I just did the
Good.
RFE math, and it's like 13.7, and it trades just under that. And the team's most recent update was they said this week or next week would be when the contract would go live. So very short window, but probably a good or easy way to get like 5 to 10% ROI with very little risk. So there's one. Um, yeah. Otherwise, oh, Suzu spoke up. He finally said
It's
something.
wild.
Yeah, that was hilarious. They were trying to sell their Starkware tokens, but like the liquidators goofed it and forgot to claim them or something along those lines. But what I thought was funny was here it says one of our clients, Mr. Zusu, is also a creditor. So 3AC gets liquidated and has to pay him back personally, which is hilarious. Which is not abnormal. Like
Yeah,
if you own a business, you lend funds to the business. But I just thought it was so funny that he's a creditor to 3AC going bankrupt.
that's gonna make so many people so mad though, who were involved. The fact that he's getting paid back out on a lot of it before, like, I don't know,
I don't know if it's
before some of them
before
are.
the loans got to be paid
Ugh,
first before equity holders, but I think
yeah,
he might have had loans, right? Like if you
yeah,
lend money
yeah.
to your
That's what I mean.
business,
If he
yeah,
lent it, yeah,
yeah.
like he might. Well,
Who
yeah,
knows? Who
but
knows
that,
how the
that blows
process
my
works?
mind.
Yeah, just hilarious. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That was a really fun episode. Good to catch up. I think we're trying to do our next one on Friday, but I think we're still closing on a speaker, on a guest.
yeah. I've talked to probably two or three different teams, and all are pushing for next week. But I'm still waiting to hear back.
Yeah,
Um, from
and
what a specific one. But so like we'll let you guys know on whether or not it's
sweet.
Friday or early next week. We hop on and do another one with the founder.
Yeah. And I've got tons of requests for a Barachain. Barachain episode fully dedicated will happen. We're just waiting on the Barachain guys to give us the green light. But I think that'll be a really fun one.
Very fair. I'm gonna have to do some research there. I know we talked about it briefly, but I haven't done much background on that one.
It feels like the meme chain of like the crypto Twitter person, but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun chain at the worst.
And memes do well in bear
They do.
markets.
They
People need
do.
a laugh.
And
Everybody's
they're
miserable.
pretty
So
innovative too. Like it's not just like a copy pasta chain. Like they came up with a bunch of cool protocol owned like ideas, and they have like a stable coin called Honey and all this kind of stuff. So I'm excited to get the dev on because he's actually pretty good. But I think it's like a good balance of like tech and memes and fun and everything. People will enjoy it.
I like it.
Cool.
Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll end the
Glad to have
stream
you
there.
back.
Thank you, sir. Thanks everyone for showing up, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.